everyone, I'm Chris Wilmshurst, and right behind me is my workspace. It's a place where I spend a lot of my time creating content, a bit of gaming, and a place that I consume far too much YouTube content. But what makes a good workspace? For me, it needs to achieve many things. It needs to be visually appealing, organized, have a bit of personality, and most of all, it's got to be practical. And I'm pretty happy with how this has come out. So I'm going to hand it over to VoiceOver Me to run you through everything I use and why I use it. Starting off, we have the desk itself. I looked around for a long time for a nice solid worktop that looked good and was the right size. In the end, I settled on the popular IKEA Carlby worktop. The worktop is sat on top of the classic IKEA Alex drawers and the 3 add-list legs. The third leg is set up in the middle to provide support and help avoid this desk bowing over time. On top of the desk, I have this Walnut Shelf. It's not made by Grovemade, it's in fact from a company called TG Mastery, which I found on Etsy. It's a great looking piece and the build quality is second to none. This small felt shelf is where I store my 2021 iPad Pro when it's not in use. Below this is where I keep my OWC Envoy Pro hard drives, which contain all my YouTube and photography backups. There's also an iFixit toolkit, which comes in handy way more than you would think, and a little Rightmove notebook, which is there if I ever feel the urge to jot something down. Sitting on top, I have an Anker wireless charging pad for when I'm running low on charge, a placemat for my huge 40-ounce hydro flask, and 2 figurines, a Winston from Overwatch and Doge. I wanted to keep this shelf clean as I want a nice clutter-free environment in front of my screen. To the left of the shelf, we have my creative workhorse, the 16-inch MacBook Pro. I've had this for a year and a half now and it's still going strong, and despite its noisy fans, it has excelled at everything I've thrown at it. It sits in this matching space grey 12 South arc stand and is connected with a single Thunderbolt 3 cable into my CalDigit TS3 Plus. This hub sits under my shelf and provides plenty of expansion and 97 watts of charging to my MacBook Pro. When it comes to writing, I'm still using the Kikron K2 wireless keyboard. This is my second K2 keyboard since I first reviewed it over a year ago. I accidentally spilt green tea all over my first one, so I had to replace it. This second K2 I picked up has the Gateron red switches, which are great for gaming. The keyboard itself is so handy as I can switch between 3 Bluetooth profiles, one for my MacBook, one for my PC, and one for my iPad. To the right of my keyboard, I'm still using the trusty combination of the Logitech MX Master 2S for work and the Logitech G Pro Wireless for gaming. Unfortunately, the gesture button on my 2S is broken, which does cause some issues. But I've had this mouse for over 3 years now, so I think it's done very well, all things considered. The 2 mice and the keyboard sit on top of the SteelSeries QCK mouse mat. Now a big desk like this would be pretty pointless without a monitor, and the monitor I use is the MSI Mag 274C gaming monitor. It's not the best for colour accuracy, but it's great for gaming. It's a curved 27-inch panel with a 144Hz refresh rate and a 1 millisecond response time. Illuminating the desk from the top of my monitor is the BenQ screen bar. Ever since they sent me this to review, it hasn't moved. I'm a huge believer that this really does make a difference when it comes to staring at my monitor all day. It cuts down on any glare from light sources around me, and I've noticed my eyes do not strain nearly as much as they used to. And holding all of this together is a single monitor arm that I found on Amazon. It was only around £25 with guides for cable management, and when I'm sat down, you can't even see it. So, it gives this illusion that the monitor is floating. Attached to the back of my desk is a Lifx Strip, which has been absolutely fantastic since day one. I can adjust each individual LED and paint my own style onto the strip. I can even animate them. For example, I can make the multicolored blend move across the strip and repeat itself, and this is all controllable from my phone, watch, and my HomePod mini. They do a great job of adding a bit of colour to my bland back wall, and when I couple it with a screen bar, it really helps me focus more. For all my audio needs, I'm using the incredible Shure SM7B that gives a nice warm sound to my voice. It's attached to a Rode PSA-1 arm and plugged into the Scarlett Solo 3rd Gen audio interface by Focusrite. It's then given a helping hand in the gain department by the Sub-Zero MB1 microphone booster that's mounted underneath the desk. This little box gives me an additional 30 dB of clean gain for a fraction of the price of a cloud lifter. and surprisingly, it hasn't skipped a beat yet. Then to top it all off, the headphones I've been using for so many years now, which is really starting to show, are the Audio Technica ATH M50Xs. These are honestly fantastic headphones with a nice flat sound, which is great for video editing, and I find them really good for gaming too. Inside the Alex drawers, I keep all the items I use regularly, whether it's the odd bit of camera gear, spare hard drives, cables, tools, earpods, or battery chargers. The top 3 drawers are all organised using 4 felt dividers from IKEA. It helps me keep them relatively clean and looks way better than a drawer stuffed full of random things. And the chair I sit in is the Herman Miller Aeron. These really are fantastic chairs, a bit pricey, but I can really tell the difference between this and a standard IKEA chair. I could sit in this all day without any sort of stress or backache. Now onto my gaming PC. Not much has changed. All I've updated is the case and the CPU fan. It's nothing to shout home about, as it's using an old 6700K processor and a GTX 1070 graphics card. I'd love to upgrade this one day, but for the games I play, it's surprisingly still holding up well. So why replace it if it's not broken? Now you might have noticed a lack of cables on show. This is because I've spent a lot of time sorting all the cables into this fairly neat system. I use a combination of sticky back clamps and cable tubing to keep it as clean as possible. I keep the surge protector in this box which powers everything on this setup, and I've got another multi-cable clip which holds all the cables I regularly unplug or switch, like my Thunderbolt 3 cable and the 2 USB-C cables I use to switch my audio interface from my Mac to my PC. Rounding everything off, I have a small aloe vera plant to the right which just keeps outgrowing all of the pots I put it in. 2 shelves above my desk which hold my Sony XM4s, a few random bits and pieces and a trio of cactuses, and finally, to the left of my desk on the wall I have a framed art print from one of my favourite shows, Mad Men. This is Don Draper's office and I picked it up from a Canadian shop on Etsy. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I've left links to everything below in the description, and if you like this content and want to check out more, please consider subscribing, smashing that like button and leaving a comment. Take care.